This is day 159 of the Arukh HaShulchan OC. Today is Siman Kuf Yud Sif Yud Beis through Siman Kuf Yud Zayin Sif Beis. If you'd like to sponsor an upcoming shir or more of Arukh HaShulchan OC, greatly appreciate it. Please contact me directly. And Sif Yud Beis, Kosa Rabbeinu Abbei says of Sif Zayin, B'chol Mokom. So when you go back to the bracha, it says go back to the bracha when you made a mistake. That means you made a mistake inadvertently. Amazing misguided meaning make a mistake deliberately. Go back to the beginning of Shemar Esei. Ad kan l'shonim. Kenkos habatur b'shem Abi Yasi Ein Sham. Klomar meaning kol shomar morida geshem mosachama. Let's say you said mosa geshem mosachama usim bracha, but you haven't finished that kadosh yet. Shomar we said chayzel rosh bracha. Go back to the beginning of the bracha. Zel b'shogeg v'lo amazing. That is when you did it inadvertently, but now we did it deliberately. I can't imagine doing that deliberately. Okay, but who knows? So to the middle brachas, hadin beto shechayzer lebracha zu, where the halach is, you go back to this bracha, whichever one, because they're different, separate units in the middle brachas. Where chayzer would say, you go back to it say, because they are one unit. That's only if it's b'shoyeg. Avo b'mezid, but it's deliberate. B'habi kaloi spal classes. If you didn't daven at all, chayzer should go back to the beginning of the davening. Some people ask the Rabbeinu Beisesim Soiser Satzmo. Beisesim seems to contradict himself. The Mach Kasam Simon Kuf Daled. The Gam Besach b'mezid when you interrupt by talking. And deliberately, Dino Kamob Ones is the same halacha as if you were compelled to do so. Is there Shom Sif Yud Beis? We explained there the halacha. I'm lo kosher cloud. It's not difficult really. The rak b'sach b'mezid pasakein. It's only when you spoke b'mezid that he passed this way. She's palel k'tikuna because you daven properly. Ela shivsik b'sichos just interrupted with a conversation. Mashen kind of supposed to hear. Shalo Amar is a davar kitikun chachamim amazing way deliberately. That's something as chachamim instituted. Plus a kula toeva. His entire field is repugnant. The tzarich lispal tefila acheres legamri is got to daven a different field completely from scratch. The halacha writes from the Achronim it seems that they hold the halacha that even if the kilkul in this case was in the middle brachas, if it was b'mezid, you go back to the beginning of davening, and there's no distinction between talking or making a mistake. Again, I can't imagine how somebody makes a mistake b'mezid in a tefillah, but what do I know? Yud Gimel. Aim is the stopping with Yemos HaCham. If you're not sure in the summary, Imam Rita Geshem. If you said Rita Geshem, you have to go back because you're not sure. Maybe you said the wrong thing. Olomar, I'm sorry. Yes, Olomar, or maybe you didn't say it, and Yisrael Kogan was a good tefillah. Oh, she's stopping Yemos HaCham. Or on the other, conversely, if you have a mistake in the winter. Masafik in the winter. If you're not saying Rita Geshem, you have to go back. Oh, Omar, or you did it, Yisrael Kogan. Or you did say it, which is appropriate. This is because obviously uniquely shaykh Nusach Ashkenaz, Abasfad Nusach Sfad Ein Afkin Yimosach Shami. There's no difference in the Yimosach Shami what you say. Afin Lo Amar Marida Gesho Amar Marida Tov. The Yitzim is that much of the test to Marida works. For the first 3 days after the changeover, we assume you did not daven properly. Because you're accustomed to say, like you were saying previously. After 30 days, then we can assume you said it properly. Because you became accustomed to say it properly. The Mishnah writes, if it was clear to him that he had in mind, say, to mention Yalav Yavu, then davening. And after a long time had passed, he was not sure if he said it in davening or not. You have to go back and say it. Only if the subject came up immediately after davening do we say that it's legitimate subject, but not if much later on you were unsure. Which happens, makes sense, of course. Yudal, because I made a received test. It says right, received testing beyond Rishon Shal Pesach. The Omer Atogi Bar Amri Atol Tishim Pamim say 90 times. Chaim Mesim Atarav L'Shem Marid Atol. It says starts Atol Gibor, but assume it's the same in this case. Keneged Keneged Shloshim Yom Shomer Otso Shlosh Payim B'Chol Yom. which corresponds to 30 days, you say 3 times a day. And then after you repeated 90 days, they remember you said Geshem. We assume you didn't say Geshem, and you don't have to go back. So there's a Mishnah Berurah missed before. Mishnah Berurah says that many Achronim write that 30 days is specifically like the meaning of Tfilos. There aren't 30 days. So, in other words, you don't need to have 30 complete days in order to establish Chazak. You need 90 Tfilos, which is established earlier because, of course, you have Musaf and other added Tfilos. Actually, just Musaf. In terms of Saint Amati Vracha, that in 30 days you don't have 90 tefillos because the tefillah Shabbos Yantav, and you only have 3 brachas. When you only have 7 brachas, there's going to be a chumrah that you have to go to 90, even though the Saint Amati is said many less times. From the Gra and other Chonim, it seems that the main thing has to do with 30 days, not 90 tefillos, whether to make them, whether to be machmir, and Mishnah Berurah says Sovik brachas lehakel. Mishnah Berurah also examines the Chuvas Chasan Sofer, who says the Chatzchila should say 101 times, which includes all the extra times you say the Mashi Ruch Megash, whatever it is, based on the added Musafin. But the we only said 90 times. We do not have the capacity to pass against the Shulchan Aruch and say that he should go back. Okay, so 101 is a chumrah. Okay, so back to the Arukh HaShulchan. So the Beis Yosef says 90 times, right? And you said Maria Tal, you don't have to go back. Or the Arukh HaShulchan says Zel Minhag Sfard. That's according to the Minhag of Sfard. Minhag Ashkenaz Kasabei Rama V'Cheni Dadi Mamar Amachal Kachayim B'Lo Mashi Ruch Minhag Hashem Shemosag Shamim. If you said that would be the same thing. If you're not sure afterwards if you actually mentioned it or not, she's killed with the assumptions that you did mention it. Even though in the 90 in 30 days of more than 90 tefillos, Musfei Shabbos or Shchosh, because the Musafim, the Kavanah say Yisham, Amar 30 Yom, the Kavanah say Yisham, that 30 days, Harei Hemas Tam Yom, Yishem B'Hem Rak Shlosh Tefillos. It means 30 days of a Stam day, which is 90 tefillos, and therefore 90 times. There's a Yud base here for the Mishnah Berurah, but there is no Mishnah Berurah. Oh well. This halacha is very famous from Maram Rudberg. Should be a Rosh Vatur. It's brought for the Rosh Vatur. They asked him, there's no comparison in something being rolling off your lips. When you're accustomed to yourself 30 days, to saying it one shot 90 times. And many questions. Other questions. So Arukh HaShulchan says a cool thing. The linear ad seems to be the he found like an excuse. Like it says that Eretz Yisrael, they're Matar, all their because they found one bone somewhere, and they said, oh, that's the bone. And everything else is Tahar. So like a loophole, I would say. Okay, the truth is that somebody is davening appropriately, definitely says what he's supposed to say. But many times you forget afterwards if you said it properly. Therefore, according to strict level, you have to go back. This is difficult to say. It's more probable, at least paying the minimal amount of attention, which many of us unfortunately are not, that he said, including myself, it's probably, we should assume they may have said properly. So the Maram book introduced this approach, in order to be able to say, to exempt himself in some way, according to halacha. You can do it in half the time, because the chazara is shots. Sheis bagam korom because daven out loud. Ach ba'arvis leka chazara v'leka rak ayin hate filos. But in Mariv there is no chazara, and therefore there are only 75 filos in 15 days, and therefore tzarech od chamisha yom kamon need another 5 days. Umekayem emunasoli shenei of this is out of left field. Mekayem emunasoli shenei afar ve'ein be'yud shva. So it's not li yishenei afar, but li shenei. Zakamo li shuas chakibisi Hashem. So that's a thing many people get wrong, including possibly me. Because HaTakadosh yesh yud dalet tevos in the bracha of HaTakadosh, as we mentioned, there are 14 words. Kuf Tezvav. Bracha Revius, V'chamishis, V'shishis, V'shviis. 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th brachas. Bracha Revius. Bracha Revius HaTachonei. V'lomri also as HaKedusha, I said HaTachonei after Kedusha. Because if be Yeshaya V'Kedushas Kadosh Yaakov, they will sanctify the Holy One of Yaakov. But something adjacent there too, it says, this is Perich of Tes, Pachos L'Chamkim L'Chavdalet, V'yedu Toy Ruach Bina, and those who are gone astray will, in their spirit, will achieve understanding. V'yesh B'Shiva Asar Tevos, and HaTachonein has 17 words. And I believe that this is, so we associate this with Tov in the past. By the way, going back to a moment, Takadosh. Takadosh has 14 words. Probably there's some correspondence to David HaMelech, obviously, which is 14, not just to Yad or Dai. Okay. But this is 17. And it's the association he makes here is Keminyan Atevos Sheba Pasuk Vatot Daber Kol Chachmei Leiv. And you should speak to all those who possess a knowledgeable heart, or when in terms of Melechus HaMishkan, Shum Shemos Adam in Abehema who have been V'aseichel, because the difference between an animal and a human being is the intellect, the understanding intellect. If you have a kavua rosh themselves, that's why it's the first of the middle brachas. Ain't bina, ain't fila. There's no understanding. There can be no davening. We make Avdol in it in Motzei Shabbos Yotam. Shezel Var Chochma. This is the indication of having an intellect. Avdil ben David distinguish between things. Klomar meaning Avdol b'nei ruchnius, the separation in matters of spirituality. Momin kol shechol ave Chochma Rabba. This is a great wisdom, great intellect. And the main thing you're asking for in HaTachonein is to ask Kodesh Baruch Hu sheyitin lo das, to give him wisdom, lim ospera, to reject that which is bad, and choose that which is good. Base. Bracha Chamish is Bracha Hashibein. And V'lo Marim also Achar Bina, I want to say it after HaTachonein. Shabina V'lei Tshuva, because he's Bainanus, analyzing one and assessing oneself brings one to tshuva. The Chesiva says, why don't people do tshuva? Because their hearts to become fat. Because they don't want to see in their eyes. They don't want their hearts to understand. In which case they will do tshuva and be healed. So therefore, Bina leads to tshuva. V'yesh b'tesvav table says 15 words. Keneged tesvav tables corresponding to 15 words. Shepasuk yazov rashad darko. The pasuk which talks about a Russia leaving his negative path. And the tshuva is great. It reaches up to the throne. And from the earth to the firmament is the amount of time this is to take the walk in 500 years. So to the airspace between each of the firmaments. So there's 7 firmaments and 6 avirim, 6 spaces between them. And the airspace from the land until the first rakia, and the airspace from the 7th rakia up to Kisakava. Take all those into account. Harei tes vav. It's 15. Bracha mascheles behei, u'misayem behei. This is cool. Hashibein Abino, and then I would say where it ends. I would say b'shuva. It's 2 hays connected aseres yemei tshuva. Corresponding to aseres yemei tshuva. One can actually say it has to do also with Olam as a Nivra Behei. Okay, Kimo, Bracha Shishis, the sixth brother Slach Lanu. B'Shaych L'Tshuva, obviously it's connected to Tshuva. Let's see, Yeshua Hashem Yachmeu, he will return to Hashem who have mercy upon him. And to our God who who forgives very much. Mashik Lamar Avinu b'Shnei Brachos Elu, would say Avinu by Hashivenu b'Secha and Slach Lanu Avinu. A father has to teach his son Torah. So too, since you're our father, you have to return us to your Torah. Okay, that's the first one. This is to provoke rachamim, like the mercy of a father for a son. And he will increase the forgiveness for our sins. Yesh b'chav tables, and there are 20 words in Slach Lanu, which probably has to do with some level of shleimus, which has to do with 10 from below and 10 from above. But it's just off the cuff. Da bracha shvius reino v'anyenu v'chein mu b'lashon atur with a no. The lo mana mismar tables of bracha, but he didn't count the number of words in this bracha. I've say for a Priyetz Chaim, and no, he counts it because if she Yud Zayin tables, it's 17 words. This is the Tzarech Lamar Re'ei V'Anienu, but according to this we have to say Re'enu V'lo Re'eno, not Re'eno V'chein Das Mar Shabbat Shuba. Shah writes this way. Yesh Gosel Lamar Dafka Re'eno. Avraham says specifically to say it. V'lo Yatati Mihu Yichol Achriya Lehefren Das Ariza V'Mar Shal Masayelo. Who can speak out against the Turluyas, Ariza and Marshal. Why is Gula the seventh bracha? Toshana seemingly Gula b'Shvius, Kavua b'Shvius, since the Gula is going to come in a Shemitah, it is made in the seventh bracha. Of course, 17 and 18 will both be significant, but 17 also is again Tov, and Chachma and Gula are certainly the best things we can imagine. Simek Kofte Zayin, bracha Shminis Shirifa'enu, the eighth bracha, which is Reinu. Aleph, bracha Shminis Rifa'enu. Ma ra'ula marafei b'shminis. Why is it the eighth bracha? Because Mila is on the eighth day. Tzricha refuah, and needs healing. Because b'shminis, that's what made the eighth bracha. Yesh basrim b'sheva tevos. Why 27 words? Connected esrim b'sheva psukim shem parshas Mila. There's 17 psukim in the parsha Mila. Embraces Yud Zayin Aleph Tichav Zayin. Connected esrim b'sheva tevos shem pasuk, and corresponds to 27 words of pasuk. Vayam shama tishma. If you listen to the word of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, till ad ki ani Hashem rofecha, Shmos tes vav chavav. V'yesh chav zayin osis pasuk ki achayim l'motzeim v'chol b'sor marpei. 27 letters in the pasuk. They are life to those who find them, and to all of their flesh they are healing. Which is pasuk Mishnah Dal Chabes. I missed the Mishnah Berurah at the end of Siman Kuf Tes Vav. Mishnah Berurah says that some people say you shouldn't say Reino B'Nienu, but just Borei B'Nienu. Magen Avraham, Eli Rabbah, and other Goyim wrote that you should not move from the minute that says Reino B'Nienu. So whichever way you do it, it works. Okay, back to our halacha. Base. Hariv Zal B'Sod Perik Dal Megillah. The riff at the end of the fourth parak Megillah Hevi Tosefta. Brings down Tosefta She'en L'Shos Miloshan HaKosuf. Then it says they're not supposed to deviate from the language of psukim. Please say true. Therefore, they ask, how can we say it in plural? Heal us, God, and we will be healed. Habi Yirmiyo, and Yirmiyo Perak Yisai, it says, see, Lashon Yachid. It says individual for any Hashem Eirofei. But here too they explain the Zeu B'Korei HaPasuk V'Targum. You read the pasuk, translate it, don't deviate from the language of the pasuk. V'Lomrin Derech Tefillah, not when people are davening as a tefillah. Ain't come on as a tefillah Lomar pasuk. We're not really saying the pasuk. We're paraphrasing it. And you call it the Shas, then we can change it as is necessary. V'Lomrin furthermore, the Zeu Dafka Omer Kol HaMizmor. That's if you say a whole mizmor, a whole song, or a whole kapitel. But you say select psukim in the tefillos. After keeping the pasuk, you know you had a minus pasuk. Become nevertheless came which ain't omer have mizmor b'shleimus. It's not saying the total mizmor. B'shai l'shanos you're allowed to change it. We say he's coming Rosh and Rosh agreed. Came the psukim shel Avdallah, and therefore psukim in Avdallah teretz are reshowed according to the first teretz. Also shenosim you can't change them because they are made. They're actual psukim. They're not paraphrases. Teretz Hashem, but the second teretz you can't change it. Mutter because they are part of tefillah. Other matters are similar. Tzarech lamar rofei cholei amo Yisrael halamed shel cholei b'tzeirei. Not sure what else you would say, but the rofei cholei. Cholai, I don't know what other possibility there would be. Anyway, you're supposed to say would say it. Which the Bura says that if according to the second answer that it's a mizmor shalim which is forbidden, and it's also to change it a mizmor shalim even if you're saying derech tefillah. And if you're not saying derech tefillah, then it's also to change regardless even one pasuk. Siman Kuf Yud Zayin. Bracha Chi is Birchas Hashanim, the ninth bracha. Baruch Aleinu. Bracha Chi is Birchas Hashanim. Baruch Aleinu. Kavod Chi is the ninth bracha connected Mafkir Sharm, corresponding to people who destabilize the prices, which is disruptive to the marketplace, who are bad people. Because the ninth capital David HaMelech mentioned them and said Shvol Zroa Rosha, break the arm of the wicked people. And people destabilize the prices. Even though by us that's in the ninth capital, Chazal very often says the first two capitals are one parsha. Tables. There are 30 words in Borei Chalenu. Connected Chav Gimel tables corresponding to the 23 words. 23 words. Hashem so it's Torah Tovas Hashemayim. God shall open you His good warehouse, which is the pasuk in Chav Ches, and the Shiva the same word pasuk Poseches Yodecha, which are in the pasuk which we say in Ashrei. V'yeshomrim Sabenu Mituvecha, right? There's Sabenu Mituvecha and Sabenu Mituva. Those are two options, right? In the version of the bracha. My understanding always there's the Sabenu Mituvecha is in Chutz La'aretz, because it's not. We're not talking about. There's no. We wouldn't say tuv of land of Chutz La'aretz, and mituva is in Eretz Yisrael because we're talking about the land, that land itself, the holy land. But that's not what Arukh HaShulchan says. He says, "Yeshuvim sabeinu mituvach kosav Rabbi Tshuva, yeshuvim sabeinu mituva, the kai halaretz, which is going on the land. Some people say when they're in the city." So they're city slickers. So they don't have when they're in their permanent place, they say mituva because they are in a place where they're stationary. Over derech, where they're not stationary and don't have their plot of land or whatever portion they have, they say mituvecha. Uzei skima mukubalim, and the mukubalim actually said to differentiate that way. Interesting enough, I never saw anybody do that. Much because of Ashla b'sidura. Base. You start saying Zayin Mar Cheshvan from Zayin Mar Cheshvan. Eretz Harim, of course, because it's a land of mountains and hills. So they need rain immediately after Yontif. Why do they not ask immediately after Yontif? To give ample time. People who came up on pilgrimage to the Beis HaMikdash to go get back home. So today we should start right after Sukkot. Nevertheless, the Takana was never changed. Old time is another reason. And then they would leave fruit on the field until the 7th of Mar Cheshvan. And therefore that's not a time to ask for rain. So the fruit should not rot. The Rif does not bring the second reason. His reason seems to me, the reason it doesn't bring it is because then people say if there's no fruit in the field, which is not true. They ain't okay. Rabbanan do not make such a distinction in their takana. So if that's the case, why does Rip bring down the reason of also people might be inspired by that to change the halacha. So the times of a Mishnah Sham, because that's in the Mishnah, maybe a Mishnah Kedarko. He brings the Mishnah in its a precise format as is his wont. But The reason is not the reason why. I'm not sure what it means, but it says the reason why it's says is because the takana was never changed.